Joseph S. Haas, H-A-A-S. Do you have any questions for me? No? Well, I got some comments for you. And one of them is, would you please, during the public section of the minutes of the meeting, would one of you please make a motion that Heidi, as the town administrator, look into the opinion that I sent you the email on? And what I'm saying is we're a member of the New Hampshire Municipal Association, so I'm thinking that that would be the place to go for a free opinion rather than paying some private attorney. And the opinion is based on the argument I have with the town treasurer on not paying me. He sent me a check. He tendered a check. I met with the police chief this afternoon because somebody in the office did the buzzer to call him in. And we had a nice discussion in the office, and he wrote down some notes, and he's going to be reading the Constitution. And that's what last time, you asked me about the coinage. Mm-hmm. That's how you get paid. You don't get the promissory notes, you get paid. And all these...
How did it get paid to begin with?
It never got paid, the check.
How did the money that got paid to us originally, that you say that we owe, how did it get paid?
How did it get paid? Okay, it got paid by a credit card over the machine.
Okay.
And I did talk with the town treasurer at candidates night. He got all upset. He said, how can you do that and require us to do something vice versa, even more? And I said, well, that's your job. That's in your job description. No state, Article 28A, the town is a political subdivision of the state, shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt. And I told him and I told you how to get that money. If the local bank will not write a 31 CFR 100.2 to the Fed down in Boston, because ever since 1920, they have had the powers of assistant treasurers of the United States to put a requisition order into the U.S. Mint to get those coins at face value. And I showed you two, I didn't show you last year or the year before, the 2014, they had a mintage of 300,000. I think I told you this last week or the week before, right?
Yep.
That they were bought at premium prices, so there's 150,000 still left. So why doesn't the treasurer require the bank to put a letter in? If they're refusing to do it, then why doesn't he just drive down there? All these Federal Reserve notes are done by Title 12 U.S. Code, Section 411. It says they're redeemable in lawful money at one of two places, the U.S. Treasury or any Federal Reserve Bank. And since the 1960s, late 60s, the banks got out of the business locally. They would not help us out. They said, in effect, we'll go down to Boston for Region 1A for us. There's 12 regions in the country, and get it yourself. So that's his job. He has to pay me. You guys ordered him to pay me, which I like. That was June 20th of 2016. So if he doesn't do his job, you should RSA 41:26D have him removed if he's not doing his job.
You paid in plastic, paid the charge card.
Yeah, well, what's your?
I'm trying to think that we paid you back in the same form.
No. That's what I told Glenn. I said, I am the master, you are the public servant. There's not an equality here. Mm-hmm. There's a subordination. You're subordinate to us, the taxpayers. Huh?
I agree, but I believe we have a policy that money is returned in the same fashion or form as which it was received.
I appreciate you telling me this, but since when does a policy overrule the law? The Constitution says no state shall. It doesn't say no state may upon the agreement of two parties. It says no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin and tender in payment of debt. And that was put in by Roger Sherman one of the founding fathers, because he knew, just like the not worth the Continental back in the 1700s, that we would be in the same situation years and decades and centuries later of all this funny money that's supposed to be backed. You know, all these notes are not money until it's monetized. It's not monetized. The Fed buys them for 6 cents a piece. I think I already went into this, didn't I?
Yeah. And you're 1 minute over.
So the bottom line is, I would like during your motion period to have her, or you were assigned to contact Andrew Valinsky, right? You were authorized to do that?
Did you ever vote on that?
You never brought it back yet?
We haven't had a vote on that.
Oh, are you going to bring it up tonight to have a vote?
I was going to have a conversation with you, and
Oh, you and I were supposed to talk
Yes.
and give more detail and all that stuff, yeah. Because by the end of this week, I'm going to be filing my lawsuit against Bosquen in the Supreme Court. That's all based on the school tax stuff. So, you know, once that's filed, then you could ask him if he would please put in an amicus curiae, friend of the court brief, based on his expertise, because he got $750,000 for his team on the first Claremont case. And now here I am, you know, paying $250 of my own money to take it to the next step.
Okay.
So if you could do that, you know, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you,
give me an
gentlemen.
email tomorrow with your phone number. I'll try to give you a call this week.
Huh?
So give me an email tomorrow with your contact information. I'll try to give you a phone call this week and we can discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Brett Courier. I'm trying to find out when the charade of shutting the front door of this building is going to come to an end.
Pretty
It,
soon.
it absolutely makes 0 sense. That door stays open, you come in, and it stays wide open. I have no idea, it just looks bad. It's bad for the elderly.
What door? The one
The
down below?
downstairs.
Because of the timer, so a wheelchair can get through.
Yeah, so can a gun-wielding guy. I mean, come on, you guys, this is a charade. I don't know if it's because you're here every day, Steve, and you want to hide something. That's what it appears. I'm just telling you what it appears.
Okay.
The people are not happy.
Okay, I hear him.
Well, why don't you do something about
I
it?
am.
You're not protecting anyone except yourself.
Says you.
Says me. That's right, me.
That's
That's the guy talking.
The one guy talking.
That's right.
Yep.
So, you really have no right to keep this building shut. Unless you have a reason, and that press release is not a reason. The
Says
people, I own this building with all the other people.
With everybody.
That's right.
I own this building too.
You do. And you're supposed to represent the people out
I
here.
am.
No, you're not. You're walking in the front door, Marshall Bishop's walking in the front door, and some old lady is coming. I have seen you walking. I didn't see you tonight, but I have. Yes, I have.
I understand.
You have come in. I watched you. I watched you the other day come in the front door. Yeah. So, what I want to know is when.
Soon.
What's that mean?
That means I'm still waiting for prices.
So we're going to put up bulletproof glass before we can let people in the front door? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not bulletproof glass.
It's going to be glass.
It's going to be glass.
So you're going to say months is what you're saying. We've already been 3 months. You're going to be more months because of nothing? You're going to change?
Nothing says you.
That's right. Nothing says you too because you haven't said a thing.
Okay,
No.
we have a point of order here, we hear this every other.
How come you don't answer?
It's over
We
with.
have to
We
assume
are
we have
going
to get
there.
pricing to get rid of it.
What is the reason for the building being shut down?
It's in the press release.
No, it isn't.
Okay, because you're not satisfied. You're thinking some big thing, you know? You're thinking it's a conspiracy. It's not.
It's a power trip
Think
that
small.
you guys are on.
Think small. Don't think big. Think small.
Yeah, well, real
Small.
Yeah, I hear all about the small. I want to know why the people in town can't use their own building. That's all I want to know.
And I just got to tell you again, read the press release.
I've
all
read
the
the press
answers.
release.
Okay, then
Tell me what it means in your verbiage.
read it. I don't
Okay,
have it in
what
front
does
of
it
me.
mean to you?
I don't have it in front of me anymore, but I'm good with it. Soon.
How
So-
about that, now I hear that you're gonna change the doors. You're gonna put buzzers on those doors too? So you're gonna have to be buzzed into this building? Is that true?
We're not, I don't know yet, probably. Yeah, we're
You're gonna be buzzed into your own town building?
Yep,
Are you for real?
yep.
You guys need a new job, and this ain't.
Well, no.
You guys are unbelievable.
We're just here to clean the mess up, Mr. Curry.
Yeah, you made a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Anybody else?
Think small.
All right, close public input. At 6:31.
Perfect timing, huh?
All right. Approval of minutes.
So we have May 7th and May 14th, they were sent via email, and our copy should be in your folders.
All right, I don't know, that good.
14th is our Amy's 7th ceremony, for donation. Amy's 7th and 14th.
You read it home?
So the summits are quite lengthy. If you need more time on those, the drafts will be available in the office for the public. You can have more time and have the complete version. I will not say they are verbatim, but they are quite lengthy due to the size of the public discussion.
All right, I don't know.
However, I do want to make it very clear to the board that those are extensive minutes, not usually done, not usually provided like that. Spends a lot of extra time that I don't feel is necessary, and no problems doing it. However, it takes away time from my job, and there's always recordings that are available to the public, far more extensive. I wouldn't say copy because they're not minutes, extensive understanding of what the meeting had.
I mean, I just give it to the public.
Well, they're available to the public, they've been available to the public, so if you need more time, I would prefer it not to be rushed.
I don't.
Do you want to? Do you want to?
I can finish them up now.
You good to go?
So Marshall's going to recuse himself if he feels, and then the two can approve.
I make a motion to approve the, selectmen's minutes of May 7th, 2018.
I'll second that one.
Tuesday,
Any more time?
one time.
I second that.
All in favor? Marshall, you recuse yourself?
Yeah, I'll use one, second one.
See, one sec.
I need to look into it.
Those were short.
I believe
I don't
this,
know that I have one, but I didn't read them.
it's honestly a public version, what was provided, it was a non-public meeting. So essentially, you're just gonna have all your motions and going in and going out.
Well, while we're at it, I'll make a motion to seal those non-public minutes of the, AA personnel. Do I have a second?
I'll second that one.
All in favor? Opposed?
And to be clear, that's the non-public.
The non-public, they were just today, the A, at 5:30. No? Done? motion that we approve the May 14, 2018 selectmen's minutes.
I second that.
All in favor? Opposed? You good? Okay. Jumping all over the place. Yeah, yeah. We have. We have Mr. Dole has been doing some, has some knowledge on websites, and he wanted to come here and share, and I appreciate that. And did you come up with anything that I gave you? Or?
Yeah, so my name is Mark Dole. I'm new to the town. I'm learning to be a farmer, and there have been a lot of great people in the town that have been helping me. And one of the things I want to do in return is I saw the website RFP, and I've been doing web development for technically almost 30 years. And I see, or have seen proposals like this all the time. I saw a lot of the issues that are in here. I know people probably spend a lot of time on this, but when you write an RFP, typically in the tech area, you've done a good job, and you've left a lot of things in here that are not fluffy, but can be interpreted many ways. And before I even read, I met Steve over a lost dog the other day that was in my neighborhood that ended up being another neighborhood he was in. So he provided me with the 4 different proposals, which I called, their prices in the range, even before he handed them to me. I knew they'd be between $5,000 and $40,000, and that's about where they are. I don't see a problem with any of them. There's just a huge range, and I think what the town needs to do, and I'll totally help out, is help redefine what the RFP is, and then it can go back out to probably the top 3 of these or 2 of these people to rebid, if that's part of the process that you allow. Or I really think there's 2 of these that I would definitely resend it to. But what happens is, even in this lower number, there's a 4,600 number, but it ranges up to 8,000. There's another one that's 6,000, another one that's 12, or ranges 8 to 12. So there's ranges in here, and the way to get those ranges down is by putting some more specifics into the main RFP. And that's a process you have to go through that these people have built into the cost of their project. So instead of them spending 6 hours or whatever trying to develop some of these things by themselves or with the town, I can do that in about 1 or 2 that you can either take to them and they'll give you a better number, or they'll be able to spend their time more wisely. So I think in the long run we'll end up with a better product and hopefully tighter bids. There's 2 of the bids that are on the less expensive side that I would probably stick with these 2 companies, and not just because they were the cheapest ones. I don't believe the website should be more than $10,000. I probably would have bid $8,000 to $10,000 if I was doing that. And this is 4 to 8, and this one's 6. So these are right in the range that I know work could get done in this range and be good. The one that's at 12,000 is not overly expensive. They might even come down if they got a different RFP. The one that's 36 to 60,000 and 7 months of development, they've never visited the town and seen how big we are, so they have no idea what they're talking about. And what I want to do is try and help these other companies, or the one company, if you do want to pick one ahead of time, realize what is happening or what is needed, and be able to make just a cleaner.
Are there any more formats that are user-friendly for the staff here to use that you recommend?
What, as far as the RFP?
No, as far as, well, we are the RFP, but as far as the format, WordPress or other.
No, for WordPress for launching,
Yep.
that has to do with security issues. One of these companies, or I think 2 of them, called Drupal.
Yep.
WordPress, I use all the time, but it's highly unsecure. The first time I launched a WordPress site, it's probably 15 years ago, I got hacked that night by somebody in Korea. And it took 2 weeks to fix the website. Yeah, so WordPress is great if you've got a farm or you've got some small business, but for something government-wise, I wouldn't do that because you're just a target. But it's fine for personal stuff. Drupal, which is another one that one of these people mentioned, is good. It's open source, meaning people can build and add on to it. It's not a proprietary database that you have to buy from a huge company like Oracle. But it does have some little loopholes and issues with it. But from what I've read, all 4, or at least 3 of these companies specialize in town government, school websites. So I'm pretty sure, I would double check into it, but I'm pretty sure they're all set with that type of stuff. The other nice thing about them doing towns and school websites mostly is they've already built your website. It's just for another town. And that's kind of the thing that I would want to help do if you want help. Going through the RFP to say the specific things that are needed. So you can go back to any of these companies and say, you know, we've had a brainstorm meeting, and this is what we actually need. Everything in your RFP says it, but there's some things that aren't specific in there that I could go, oh yeah, so you want a pickup truck. All right, what do you want in it? Is basically where we've started. You can buy a pickup for $5 grand, you can buy one for 40. I want to drive the one that's 40, I want to pay for the one that's 5. That's just me. So let's look in between. And you know, you gotta kind of know what some of the terms are that they're selling you, because you're going to need training on this stuff. One company includes 2 hours of a webinar training because they're in Michigan or something like that. That's not enough. That's not enough at all. 1 day of training is included with these guys. These guys just give a price, which is 1/6 of their price. So $1,000 in training. That's probably a day. That seems fine. And it's the 2-hour one. And this is 15 hours. So, of course, the $60,000 one is only giving 15 hours.
Well, from Michigan or something.
Yeah. So, you know, looking at the training, because one thing that I mentioned to Steve is you could come into this and go with the lowest price and it will cost you the most because of things called scope creep, project creep, where you go, all right, we want the $4,600 website, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to work with you, and now you start saying what we need to do, this is what we need to do, we need to store audio files or video files, not on YouTube, on our own site, blah, blah, and that's going to go up and up and up. But you're already in the commitment to dealing with them, and they're going to end up being $8,000, which they actually list here as the higher price, and I would probably agree that that's the price it would end up at, based on what they included at $4,000. And also there's the hosting costs, and I don't know if right now you know, or you pay a yearly hosting cost.
So I have 2 questions. Not 100% hosting yet. With the more specifics that you mentioned, if you do put this whole thing out to rebid, which at this point, with all your suggestions, it's not a bad idea. However, you do have to give each and every one of those companies that came through the chance, because it's fair, to rebid appropriately.
But a more refined.
Yeah, because a lot of what they said in here, one company actually called on, sorry to interrupt, but one company called specifically out things that you mentioned in the RFP that they would not include or they would change differently. Other ones, it's like they said, all right, we have, the town is named Gilmington, okay, done. They just changed the name and that's it. Yeah.
The other question I had with the, in the future, is when you're dealing with contracts for looking for specific companies in this realm, is there ever a situation where you can say, okay, we want this base product, however, we know that the add-ons to audio, the add-ons to the minutes is going to cost with everything you add
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, because these are smaller numbers, the lower bids, you're buying into a system that they've built for other towns. So maybe in a year they release a module or an add-on that allows you to do video. So you're not paying for extra development. They might charge you another couple $100 to implement it, but it works inside of their system that they've built. When you do like the $40,000 to $60,000 one, that's totally custom, and well, I think it's totally custom. You'd be paying. You could do it in the future, but you'd be paying more because they're developing it for you. Whereas these other ones, they're hopefully sharing the cost across everybody. And that's why I don't think the $5,000 proposal is way out of line. I just think it's extremely low for what they're saying they'll actually deliver for that. Because I think there's more that's needed than, because you get a day of training in that, so all of a sudden you're down to $3,600 for a website. Yeah, I mean, that's way too much. Yeah, and that's the one where you're going to go back and, oh, well, we want to update this. Oh, well, you didn't ask for that to be updated. Like one of them mentioned they'd have a static job page and a dynamic job page. I have no idea why you would want a static page. I would want everything to be dynamic, meaning it changes every day when you add more content. So I don't know why that was put in there. I didn't know if that was put in the original RFP, or they just saw something on the current page, if they even went to it, or they like it for some other reason. And the other way to narrow this down is have them come pitch in person, because only one, maybe two of these companies would come here. But it's a small price. I wouldn't push to do that.
And generally, with RFPs, if the board wants to move forward in that fashion, they will have someone come and present, because then you get a feel of who you're working with, type of company that's presenting. So it's not a bad idea, just like anything else, when someone comes in to touch base to see.
I wouldn't have any objections if you would want to be present for that.
Yeah, I'd come and help and translate.
In fairness to everybody that's bidding it, I think we could open up some of it to go to meeting or web-based DC meeting with them if we needed to.
We have been contacted by many of the vendors that have bid, some of them asking to do remote session to preview their product or others to come.
But if you would be present, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
And that's one of the things I was mentioning to Steve is I never applied to RFPs because RFPs are mostly built on price. And I always sold my company as our talent and our people. So unless I got a chance to go in front of somebody, it was, just filling out hundreds of these a week and hoping you're fishing, hoping to catch one of them. You're not actually delivering anything personal. A couple of these, or one of these, I saw some personal touches, and I like that. And I definitely want that company to be included if you do another, relaunch or something else like that, because I think they'll serve the town best. But
Well, unfortunately, RFPs in general are driven on price, and municipalities are driven on price due to the fact that they have minimum budget to market generally.
right,
So that's
but it's catch-22, because if you know somebody that does website development and you send this to them, they might come back with the same numbers or very competitive numbers, and they might be a local company, but they just don't typically do RFPs. We just never would look at anything that came in. So I don't know if there are any people around or anything like that. My studio is in Portsmouth, and there's 20 other studios in Portsmouth, but I'm not really sure what the competition is here.
What would you recommend?
I would recommend that we sit down, myself, anybody that works on the website at any point in their day or their week, and go over what they don't like about the website and how it's not working. Because really, to me, it looks like it needs a visual update, but I don't know what's happening in the background to make the things work the way they are. I see some things like posting of PDFs. I don't know if the PDFs are posted because it's government-based and they have to be secure documents that are not scanned, or if it's just because it's a lot easier to upload a PDF than do a bunch of other things. So I'd recommend me sitting down with 4 or 5 people, doing a whiteboard session to figure out
And
everything
this
that's
is
needed.
what we want to do, and then,
Yeah.
cool.
And then write it up and send it back out to
And
these 4
flip it
people.
out to 4 people, and then bring it back and see what we get.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Cool with that? Cool with that, Marge?
Yeah. Good with that. You want?
Sit down.
Sit down.
Take your time.
Very good with the computers and web stuff is happening. Another one that went for county.
Pam's gonna have, yeah, so, what, during the week?
So the other question I have is this consultation based? Is this
For me,
charge or are we?
I'm not charging.
It's free.
I'm not trying to get in on this.
It just adds to that. The cost that we would take it out of is that line.
Yeah.
So budgetary reasons again.
Yeah.
That's why I'm.
Mark, I believe that we've been in contact with email, so I do have
Yep.
your contact information.
Yep.
So if the board, if it's the consensus of the board that we go ahead and meet with Mark, then we'd all be glad to, and I can facilitate that.
Do you ever have a questionnaire you usually give your clients that they can fill out?
10 years ago I did.
Fair enough.
It's kind of, I'll look. I don't know if I have anything
Maybe it's
still.
something that you can pass around to the office staff.
I looked in my current documents. I haven't looked at anything that's archived, so, yeah. I used to live with my laptop in my backpack, and I just put it that way.
Like a week from tomorrow, or tomorrow?
So we can,
Yeah, I just would like to check with the town clerk to make sure that she's available because she uses it frequently.
She's the other one that maintains the information.
Almost all of us with different departments or committees that we have minutes for and things of that nature, most of the employees do use it. On Tuesday, we would be limited. There would be some employees that would not be there. But I think that the people that use it the most frequently would be available. The town clerk does a lot of the work on the website as well as Heather and myself.
So, and that leads into part of one of the questions that we would have, which is how many people need to access this? Now, how many people need to access it independently and securely? Like when you post it, it says Heather or whatever when you're posting, or town admin or town clerk, or can somebody log in with the same thing and just change different sections that that you allow them to? So.
Currently, that's how we have it set up, is that the majority of the staff that have access only have access to what they work in.
Because that's also part of one of the things that you would need to say to these people. Because somebody in here said 2 users, somebody said 10. And you can get by with 2 users. But, you just have to have one person have the uber control of everything. And then everybody else can share.
More money, you can split it up to planning, be able to handle their planning.
Yeah, the more you keep dividing it and saying, planning board can only be updated by this person, hours or whatever other, the minutes or whatever can only be done by this other person. So that ends up increasing.
3, 4?
No, there's 3 main administrators, I think, total access administrators. There's representative department heads, and then in our office, we have her board, I guess we have to say.
For border or
The 1, 2, 3, 5?
Has access on her board, so she has 2 that she deals with. Planning is the same. When assessing right now is a budget, I have my boards that I do, and then there's 3 administrators. But then you have your 3 main departments of transfer, PD, fire. All department heads have access.
I think we're going to have some of it. I mean, we're going to have to, the town check, they're going to be able to do the police department as it is.
Yeah.
The fire as it is. So you get
But I mean, there's a question there. How interactive is the fire department or the police department section? Are those updated a lot?
So no.
Not as much anymore.
That's a conversation that, we have with department heads if they so choose. You can ask different departments how much they want to be involved, or do you want to rely on someone to do the access point
time consuming to
Yeah.
limit, to have, you know, one or two
One or
people
two
that
people that
were
are-
doing all of the minutes and all of.
But that could increase the price $2,000 right there. That's really high. I don't think it would.
And that's
Right.
why I said
That's one of those things, yeah, you gotta go back and forth and figure out, is it worth it? We can add those extra people in a year, like you're saying, we can do add-ons, you know, in the future. But, you know, if you're not currently paying, a monthly hosting fee that's $100 or so a month, that's another thing that has to be budgeted, because all of these are about, $1,500 to $1,800 a year, because of the database and all sorts of other stuff, security and everything. So it's another thing that has to be figured into a longer plan.
I would be grateful to have a sit down,
Okay.
look at all of the different details with them, absolutely.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you very much.
I'll be
Look
in
forward
touch.
to sitting down. Keep on farming. Okay. Consent agenda. Okay, make a motion to open up this consent agenda.
Second that.
All in favor?
evening. I've submitted a letter of interest in filling the open position for the trustee of trust funds. Have you all had a chance to take a look at it?
Yes. Impressive.
What's that?
Impressive.
Well, here to serve.
Nice.
It's of interest to the selectmen.
Yeah. I mean, you look great. And that would be really good to have that kind of, knowledge on the trustee of the trust fund. I have no problem with it. I'm actually ready to make a motion. Everybody ready with it?
Yes, sir.
And I make a motion to appoint Stephen
Thanks.
And this is an open
Hopkins.
position, right? This is an open position right now?
Open. Yes. What's the name again?
What's that?
Stephen
Hopkins.
Hopkins. I make a motion to appoint Stephen Hopkins to the trustee of the trust funds. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Thank you very much.
Forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Indeed.
Thank
Thanks, Mike.
I will be in touch with your appointment letter and notice swearing.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Very impressive.
Good pedigree.
Yeah. Okay, we have the health insurance agreement.
Yes. So, in order to complete the transition to Health Trust for the employee health insurance, effective July 1st, just need to have you move forward the resolutions and authorize me to sign the application agreement.
Do they have 5 people?
This is for the actual health insurance. This is for the transition from school care to health trust for all employee health insurance. This is more cost effective, and we used to be with them. We always stayed with them for our dental and our disability and life insurance policies. Actually, when I started working at the town, we had health trust. We switched to school care for the past, I think, 4 years. And health trust has consistently come down over the last few years, whereas school care has consistently increased. So there are some specific resolutions that you have to make to move forward.
All right. I move the resolution that the town of Gilmanton shall participate as a member of the Health Trust Pooled Risk Management Program for the provision of group medical and/or other benefit plans in accordance with the application and membership agreement and NHRSA 5-B. Is that one?
That
That
is
one
one,
motion.
and then
Have
that
a
is
second
one.
on that, please.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move the resolution that the town administrator is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver to Health Trust on the behalf of the town of Gilmanton an application and membership agreement in substantially the form presented to this meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. And then we got old business. Montana. You guys read all that?
Yep.
I move to approve the contract of Oil and Tanner Associates for the preliminary design phase and
version of the document that you were emailed. And I might have actually given you hard copies of them. That's the only page that's just, I always mark the page that breaks down the money so that I find it easily.
Okay. We got select board items. I have one thing on the purchase policies. You familiar with them, Mike? They're right now, they're at 1,000 to the department head, and then they're 1,500 to the town administrator. And then above and beyond 1,500, it comes to a purchase order to the, to us to sign the consent agenda. And I make a motion to move the, department head back to where it used to be. The department head limit is to be $500 and maintain the town administrator to approve purchases up to $1,500. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
So we went back to 500.
500, yeah.
So we will redraft the document with that change and leave it in the signature box.
And let's leave it at like 1,500 for the town administrator, and 500 to the department heads.
The only changes.
It's 5,000 to 500.
Right, so it will now require a purchase order, anything above 500, but that it is still authorized to be signed by the town administrator up to 15. Gotcha.
550.
Right.
We have another one, but I was looking at, did you see that in the packet? Yeah. Did you put these in all the packets, right?
I just made those, but I do have copies that I can hand out. One.
Give them each one.
Yep, I do have them.
Hmm?
I didn't know if you were bringing
Policy
it.
regarding interference in with the property. No sleeping around.
This is the eBay, there's more civics inside here.
You got them all?
Yeah, we should, arguing, verbal, raising your voice, that type of stuff. At what point are we going to consider some of these items, and it's subject to interpretation?
You want to drop it out and wait 2 weeks? I do that. You want to?
And we'll look at it some more.
Sure.
Some more into it.
Yeah, they can always be amended.
So if anybody
We can
has,
implement this now and amend it, and change it, but we'll go
There's a table for a week.
in 2 weeks.
Table 2 weeks and then work on a good draft.
I'm cool with that.
so if the board could get any of their specific thoughts on
Right.
additions to administration so that we can prepare a draft document.
Where do we stand with selectmen's rules? We haven't voted on those yet, have we?
No, you have not. I don't know that I've received any other specific, other than your drafts. I don't know that I've received any other language, but I can bring that to the next as well if the board would like to.
Take a mentors. So, all right. Move that on. All right. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. That's good stuff. I have a good feeling about this. What's up? Am I missing something? I'm going to go into non-public. Everybody, thank you. Ron, you can stay. Sleep. Thank you, Bill.